Hello.
Yay! We're here.
Yes, how
This,
are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
This is so exciting. Hold on. I always got to do so much tweaking. I guess that's the cool thing about having a team of people to
Yeah,
do it, right?
that's true. That is true.
This is just the Instagram live, though, so we're all set. Hello,
Yes.
everybody that's joining in. Oh,
Hello.
this is so cool. It is so funny. I just started doing this. This is the third one, but technically the second one for this series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought that I could come on live, talk to my friends, because we're in a time, that's very stressful for a lot of people. And a
Right.
lot of times in this kind of environment that we're in, it's very difficult for people to find that creative niche,
It is. It truly
or
is.
to even look forward and try to look positive for another day. So
Yeah.
I think through conversation, it can inspire someone to say, I could do this.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
me, that's what it's
Definitely.
been for me. So that's really the point of this, because I find that a lot of my friends are definitely creative,
Right.
and how about spreading that with the audience and the world, so that they know that they can also too be creative even during this crisis. So
Right.
in the press release, I did a press release because
Yeah,
I
that
said,
was beautiful. I loved it.
I see all of the response and things that I'm getting from these conversations. I said, okay, well, I guess I should just go ahead and do that. And it's been spreading like wildfire, and this is so cool. And I just
Yeah,
want to
it
say
is.
thank you for
Oh,
being a part of this.
you are welcome. I thank you for inviting me on and having me here. I mean, it's awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna just get right into this thing, and
Okay.
then as we go along, we'll share like who you are and some of the things that you've done.
Okay.
Welcome, Carl Borden. I'm
Thank you.
Sherontelle. Yay! I know over the years, it's like we
Yeah.
already. I appreciate your support. That means so
Oh,
much to me.
you're
This
welcome.
has been definitely a journey from Cleveland to the East Coast.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Yep. Cleveland. That's home.
So tell me, how are you dealing, and how are you continuously staying creative during this time that we're in right now?
Oh, it's a challenge sometimes, but you just have to just get refocused on what you're doing and just push forward. You know, there will be better days ahead. You got to keep that in mind as you go through this whole coronavirus thing that's going on. Um, when it first started, it was like so much stuff going on and everything was shut down. And it's just a matter of just trying to deal with all of that. You know.
It is so difficult. When I first started hearing it, I had went to California in February for the Oscar weekend. Had to
Hmm.
hang out with some amazing, really cool people. I spent a lot of time in the music studio.
Right.
It was just great. It was a great time. And then I left there, came home for a couple weeks, and then I went to Kansas City.
Okay.
I
I
seen
love
it was
Kansas
so
City.
funny. We seen a lady with the mask on and the gloves, and everybody was laughing at her. Right? They were
Really.
like, "What? Why is she sitting there with all this?" Because it still hadn't yet been locked
Yeah.
down and all of that. But
Yep.
it was start. I could start seeing the transition. I remember being on one of the jets, and it was only like 10 of us, and they were like, "You can sit wherever you want to sit." It was like, what? It was so
Yeah.
empty, and then all of a sudden it hit, and a couple of my events got canceled, and then all of a sudden all the events was canceled.
Yeah. I mean, it was
And it
like
was
boom,
just
boom.
like, that's it. And
Yeah.
we've been on lockdown for probably longer than the rest of the country. I feel like, they started shutting down New York and Jersey and
Right.
Connecticut. Right now I reside in Connecticut, and it's not, so I feel like it's good that they did
Mhm.
that, because
Yeah.
it needed to be done so we can stay safe. But now everything is open, and here
Yeah.
we are. You have an album that's coming
Yes, I
soon. Tell
do.
me a little
Yes, I
bit
do.
about that. Let's talk about that.
Oh, this is my fourth album. It's called Beyond the Sunrise, and it's on Mindstream. And I'm just very thankful to be able to have the album, done, and looking forward to having people hear it. And it's a different sound for me, particular, because I changed up a couple things on this album, but I think people will like it, and I think I'll have some new fans as well.
Oh man, I always attach your music when I talk about meditation, because I meditate every single day.
Yeah,
I
that's
was a
important.
yogi up until about 3 or 4 years ago. I started bodybuilding.
Really?
Crazy, yeah. And then I got a health scare in 2000. Well, it was about 3 years ago. I got a crazy health scare where my heart rate went up to 170, over 175. My blood pressure was over 200. It was
Wow.
crazy. The stress had took me to a point where my body just pretty much shut down. The
Wow.
last project, remember, that I worked on was with Tyrese.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the Black Rose. The Black Rose. I felt, I don't know, when you're promoting an album independently, right?
Mm,
It's so much work that entails
it
with
is.
that.
It's a
He
lot of
has
work.
an amazing team. That's my little big brother because I'm older. I'm the older one. Hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're talking to Carl Borden. Yes.
Mm,
um, yeah, so I mean, I would literally sleep for maybe 2 or 3 hours. Anytime that I'm on a project, I put my whole self into it.
right. You
And
got to.
I
Yeah.
was living under this motto of all work, no sleep, right?
Yeah. I understand.
Absolutely not. Not
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
I
You
get
got.
tired, I'm going to take a nap because I could have literally either had a heart attack, right?
Mhm.
Or I could have just died. I did die. They brought me back. They resuscitated me. They was like, we got to stop your heart because it's going too
Wow.
fast. It's too high. You know, we got to stop it. We promise we're going to bring you back. And I'm like, what? Here go the paddles. You know, I'm watching all of this as it happened. So once I overcame and came through that, I said, I am going to do the best that I can do to help others as I move forward. So
That's
I
beautiful.
decided to make that transition from celebrity music publicist to motivational speaker,
That's beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
Because I felt like not only, you know, that something terrible happened to me, but I also have a story to share. And maybe it's time as I transition to this new position and as I get older and elevate and evolve, I need to also bring others with me. And that doesn't necessarily mean writing a check, because sometimes people
Right.
have that perception when you reach a certain level of success that you should be writing checks here and there. That's not what this is. It's not
Right.
always about money. It's about,
True.
you know, sharing, not only just sharing your story, but inspiring others and showing them how you got through it. Because a lot of
Right.
times people just want to know, how did you get through it? I can get through this because we can both go through the same situation and come out with two different outcomes, right?
Exactly.
I want
Exactly.
people, yeah, I want people to, during this crisis, start to really think about how they're going to come out of it, because how we're
Yeah.
dealing with it is going to determine how we have that outcome. I notice, I don't know times because I'm not really good with times and history taken, but
Hmm.
I remember you also yourself had a health scare.
Yes. Yes, I
You
did.
want
And
to
that
talk
was.
about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I would love to share that.
Okay.
In 2017 in December, I was fine. I went to Cleveland, went to visit my family up there. I came back. Now my birthday's in January, so
Mm.
between December, when I went to Cleveland, and between January, which is my birthday month, my kidneys failed out of nowhere. They just up and failed. So I had no idea. I went to put on a shirt one day, and I just had it on the week before, and it was fine. I went to put it on, and it was so tight. I'm like, what's going on? You know, I didn't know I had retained almost 55 pounds of fluid. And I didn't even know that I was holding all of that fluid in because my kidneys, they just stopped. So when I went to the hospital, that's when they told me, you have kidney failure. I'm like, okay, like really? I had no idea. You know, I came out of left field someplace. I had no idea. And I'm still dealing with that. But, you know, now after you get over that initial, I guess you would say that initial news, you know,
Uh-huh.
that your life is going to change, you know, and how it's going to change and different things you have to do. Then you start focusing on being able to move forward and figuring out, okay, I got to fit, my treatments into my schedule, what I have to do. And then you start trying to just get back to your regular life. But that initial scare it's
Adjust
like,
to the
yeah,
normal.
yeah,
Exactly.
I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. I was in the hospital 2 weeks.
Um,
That was a long time to be in the hospital.
I bet it was
Yeah.
because I was in ICU for a week, and then I transitioned over to a regular
Oh.
medical floor. And I mean, they were talking about taking out my thyroid. This is my you know I
Mm-hmm.
started talking about my situation, but they started to talk about surgery and all
Mm-hmm.
these other things, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do surgery. That we're
Oh.
not going to do right now. How do you make that decision that fast?
Yeah.
I gotta even take this point in that you're telling me that my whole life is now not going to be
Yeah.
what it has been, you know. So I definitely understand what you're talking about. That
Yeah.
whole
It's like
everything
you're making,
changes.
yeah, you're making plans and you're doing this and doing that, and all of a sudden, boom, and it's like, okay, things about to change, you know.
Things is about to
And you
change.
and the crazy thing is, you just, yeah, that's when your mental health has to come into play, because if you let it get to you, it will take you all the way down,
It
you
sure
know. But you
will.
have to stay positive when you're dealing with health scares and things like that. You have to stay positive. You have to to meditate, you know, and just try to focus on getting better. You know, don't focus on what's bad and
Mm.
what's going bad. Focus on what's good and what can be good. You know, and that's what I try to focus on every day. Every day.
You must have a really strong support system as well,
I do. I
because
really do.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I
absolutely.
had a good support system that helped push me through. Because there were
Yeah.
times, I'm telling you, there were times where I honestly felt defeated. I
Yeah.
had went down to, I've always been slim, but I had went down to like 75 pounds.
75.
And
Wow.
and I just had, I think I have an amazing support system that really helped me and pushed me through. I even went to, as at some point on the schedule, I'm really booked for this conversations until like sometime in September. It's so cool. Well, one of my good friends, Jimmy Kendricks, who's
Mhm.
also an amazing producer, he had a producer academy showcase in the city,
Right.
New York.
Mm.
We call it the city up here. From Connecticut, when you go over, you're going over to the city. So in New York, he had this amazing producer academy showcase. I still had not put my weight back, a healthy weight
Hmm.
back on, but I said I needed to be around creators. I needed to be around a frequency and a vibration that would help me heal.
Right.
And so I went. I mean, when I went, I could barely breathe. I'm in my car, still driving, you know, because I was still getting short of breath. Everything
Wow.
had
Yeah.
to get, I was still transitioning back to that number when I got there. And when I
Awesome.
got there, it was aspiring producers, it was
Yeah.
music artists, it was some amazing people because I really, truly, I am in love with music producers. I
Yeah.
have been since, you know, my first client, Focus. Prayers to Focus. Every time I get on here, I'm going to send out prayers to my friend. But that helped me. You
Yeah.
know, all of these things helped me to get to this point where we are now. When you think about life, you think about sound, frequencies,
Right.
vibrations, and
All
energy.
of that.
And
Yes.
I believe that with the music that you make, that definitely symbolizes that.
Thank
Would
you.
you agree?
I agree.
Focus.
Yes.
What's the other name? The other albums that you have before the one that you have that's coming out in August.
In 2016, I
Mm-hmm.
did Echoes of Bliss, and that was my first New Age album. And 2017, I did Breathe, and Breathe was a very good album. That was probably one of my favorite albums I've done, was Breathe. And then after that, I got sick. And then in 2019, I came out with Morning Embrace. So Morning Embrace was a really, can I say it? It was a tough album for me to do, but
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure it got done and to let people know that you can do this, even though you're sick or whatever, but you can
Mm-hmm.
finish an album. You can write. You can do everything that you want to do
You sure
and
can.
still be going through what you're going through. You don't have to stop. And Morning Embrace was it symbolized that. You know,
Wow, that
yeah.
is so beautiful. I want to ask, um, we've been talking a lot, I've been talking a lot about the content online we are like congested with
Right.
content and music and noise.
Right.
How do you stay distinctive with your own sound?
I think with me, I listen to all types of music. I mean, I listen to Howlin' Wolf, to Frank Sinatra, to Billie Holiday, to Queen. I listen to like a lot of different artists, and I think and when I write, I pull from all of those different areas,
Mhm.
and I incorporate it within my music. You know, there's a heavy R&B influence in there because that's my background. You know, it's R&B. So you know, so there's a heavy R&B influence, but I pull from other areas as well, and I think that kind of makes it different. You know, it's not just one style per se. It's just a just a mesh of different styles.
Awesome. Um, it takes courage to be successful. I am I'm pretty much an open book. There's a part of my life, obviously, that I definitely keep private. Um, One of the things that I've been open and talking about for the past 3 years is my fears.
Yeah,
I had a fear of success.
really.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Some of the I don't know what to say about this. Like, but some of the levels I guess that I've reached
Hmm.
in my success, I never could really honestly feel comfortable in it. And I think it was a part of it because of my past. I mean, I grew up, I'm from Cleveland, off
Hmm.
of Ansel and Superior, if you even know anything about like that
Yeah,
area.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's the
lived
Cleveland.
in, poverty most of my, all of my life until I got, to become an adult and go out and do my own thing. But then I start to realize this is what I realized after my incident. I've learned so much from being ill. I
Yeah,
guess sometimes that's what happens in life is that you go through certain things and it starts to teach you lessons.
that's yeah. It does.
Um, so one of my things was is that if God put me in this position, this is where I'm supposed to be
Right,
at this point. Not necessarily just for me. I always feel that what we do it should always be people first.
right.
I
That's
am the
true.
vessel to make that thing happen. So I wrestled with that for a very long time. And I don't know, the last show that I did with Dr. Oz and Bishop Jakes, that's what that was about. It was like, get out of your own way. You
Right.
have this Sherontelle. Like, what is going on? What's wrong? Like, you got this. I was literally letting fear get in the driver's seat in the car and take me wherever it wanted to take me. And so that is my point, that when I seen people raise their hand, every single person in the audience raised their hand and said they had a fear of something that was holding them back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a problem. I need to start talking about these things, start making workshops, start doing more conversations like this, because it's a huge number of people out here. Even with social media, they hide behind social media and not be themselves because they're afraid of themselves. And I
Hmm.
think that I was for a part there. Even though I was moving forward and I was doing all of these amazing things, I realized that it takes courage to
It
be
does.
successful. So how do you find that courage? To not let fear. It puts it definitely look like you're fearless, for sure.
Yeah. You know what? I pray. I pray a lot. You know, because a lot of times, you know, it's just, you know, you're afraid of me as a musician. You know, I'm very self conscious about how my music is. You know, how it sounds, different things like that. That's a fear that I have. You know, but after a while, you know, you just say, you know what, this is me. This is who I am, and I'm gonna put
Mm,
me on this record, and that's gonna be exactly what it is. You know, and you just go with it. You know, it took me a long time to get to that point. You know, back when I first started, you know, I was, you know, a wreck. You know, I was overthinking a lot of things, and I
mhm.
think that's what happens with a lot of people is that they overthink the situation. A lot of people, they will never finish a record because they're overthinking it. You know,
Yep,
is this
that's
vocal
true.
good? Is this, you know, is this drum sound right?
Are the people
You
gonna
know,
like it?
yeah, are they gonna like it? You know, man, maybe I need to recut that vocal. No, you know, when it's done, you know, okay, it's done. I'm going to put it out. You know,
Hmm.
and that is, you know, when you get to that point, you just let it do what it has to do, and that's what you have to have faith in. That it's going to touch the people that it's meant to touch. You
How
know,
do you look at branding? I have a lot of conversations about branding.
branding is very important.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people that branding is number one. I tell people number one, you got to have a website and make sure that it's your name. You know, brand your name. You know,
Yeah.
because that's important. Also, make sure all of your social media has the same username. You know, the same. You know, mine is Borden music, so everything is Borden music. Boom, 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 all the way
Yeah,
down the
because
line.
people need to be able to find you.
Exactly, they have to be able to find you. You know,
Yeah.
and that is so important. And just be constant. You know, if you're doing if you're trying to grow your social media,
Hmm.
just make sure you're being constant with it. You know, don't do a bit here and a bit there, and think that it's going to grow because you know it's not. It's not going to go. It's not going to give you exactly what you're looking for. So what you have to do is put in the time, and the work, and grow your audience. And when you grow that audience, they will support you.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah,
think the biggest thing about branding too is your image and who
right,
you are. Who
right,
like if you're showing up as who you are, I think that your chances of being successful is pretty high. I do believe
exactly.
that when you're being true to yourself,
Yeah, you
right?
have
You
to
got to
be.
constantly keep wearing a mask if and eventually you're gonna
Yeah,
get tired and
yeah,
you're gonna want to take that off. You're
yeah.
like,
It's gonna
where
get
did that
old.
person? Yeah,
It's gonna get old.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna get
Um,
old quick.
we talked about a little bit about fear. What continues to keep you focused?
My daughter. My daughter. She is my drive, and she just turned 4,
Hmm.
and that's my drive. You know, she just keeps me on
Oh,
the right track. You know, I always ask her. She likes the music. She's like, yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, and we just sit there, and she plays my guitars, and she plays my keyboard, and different stuff. And it's just she sings. I got a little microphone, and she sings on all the time. So all
that is
around.
so cool.
Yeah, but
Do you work with other artists as well? I know that you have your own projects, but do you work with other artists as well?
yes, I do, but I haven't done so in quite a while. Um,
Hmm.
but I still do mixing projects, mastering. I score as well. Films and things like that. So, but yeah, I started off as a songwriter and a producer back in that was 95,
Okay.
90, yeah, 95.
You like,
Yeah,
I've been in this thing.
it's been crazy. You look back, it's like, wow, it's been a long time, and I started off just studying, writing, with James Macon out of Cleveland, and I
Wow.
worked with, ended up working with Men at Large and getting into the Levert camp and different things like that. And
Wow.
I just took, that's where I learned, my writing skills was with them guys.
I started working with a mutual friend of ours, with Dave Tolliver.
Mm-hmm.
And then I transitioned. I always say it's a transition because you're
Yeah.
moving forward from one thing to another. Um, I decided that I wanted to start my own business. So I had started Miss Slim Promotions. That's what I called it because he's like, well, let's call it Miss Slim Promotion. And I was like, okay, that sounds good because that's what people used to call me, Miss Slim. I
Yeah.
have branded Miss Slim. It was very, it's still now, even now, a challenge because once I got on Instagram, I changed all of my names
Right.
from Miss Slim to Sherontelle. I went from
Mm-hmm.
Miss Slim to my government name. But I started with him and then I started my thing. And then I started working with Focus. He was my first client. I was like, how do I get a Grammy Award winning producer for my first client?
That's a beautiful thing, though. That's the
And that
thing.
was that, and that's the right, exactly, being yourself.
Yeah.
Not coming and saying that I did not have a bunch of contacts at that time. I did not I did not have a roster of people that I work with. I
Mhm.
just literally had a desire to win, a desire to be a part of a team, not carry any titles. I didn't have a title then. I just
Right.
wanted to help. I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever you need me to do, I'll help. I mean, I even so much as I used to get on the trains here and go into the city in New York City at nighttime and go to the clubs and introduce myself to the DJs. Hi, my name is Sherontelle. I would just use my nickname. That's my
Mhm.
nickname. My name is Sherontelle. They call me Miss Slim now, and I'm working with Producer Focus here. Take my card. Just
Yeah.
so I can,
It's
because I
building.
know how important DJs are,
Right.
when it comes to an artist. So I'm like, I might need them down the line.
Yep.
That's the thing. And then I learned that that's what public relations is. It's about literally just building relationships. I mean, we can talk about, press releases and music journalists and all of
Hmm.
those things and connecting the dots. But at the end of the day, it's literally about connecting and building relationships. And I feel like
That's it.
that's what I've done over the years, trusting the process. And that's why I
Right.
asked, like, do you work with other artists? We never know. Some artists on here may want to work with you. How
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
that look like? How do you decide who you would work with?
It just depends. I try always to tell the artist, um, to know, to get to know who you are and what your sound is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know what your sound is, it's hard for you to make records and know what you're looking for. So I try to, if I do take on a project, to mix or do anything like that, I make sure that that the artist has their head on right, and make sure that they know that um, you gotta, you have to take criticism. And that's a lot of people don't take that very well. you
Yes, you
know
do. I have to take it
um
even now.
yeah, it's a thing where a lot of artists have never had a producer before. They've gone into the studio and they've had a track, and they went in, they just cut their vocals on it. But they haven't had a producer actually sit down with them and say, okay, look, we're gonna stack vocals here, there, we're gonna do this here, we're gonna do that there. I'm gonna bring in a guitarist for this part here, and build the record. They haven't really worked with anybody like that, so it's a new experience for them. And so I try to, if I work with somebody that's newer, I try to introduce them to all of that, um, all that side of the business. As far as
Right.
what a producer does, and what how things look, to a producer, as opposed to just an artist coming in there and just cutting vocals and
That's
being
very
done with it.
important that you say that, because I'm always looking online and I always ask the question of what's the difference between a producer and a beat maker. I
Right.
personally, not that I know of, I don't know any beat makers.
Right.
I'm surrounded by producers. Like literally, I don't know. Maybe because when I start working with the producer, I just was like, oh man, this is great. Like I
Yeah.
get to be a part of the creative process of this thing before the artist even touches the microphone.
Right.
Like this,
Right.
like I get to be a part of that whole vibration and frequency before the artist even puts their energy to it. This is amazing. So you want to talk about that a little bit, like the difference between the producers and the beat makers?
Well, I think that, like, with beat makers, I think it's more so um, that they're more so a songwriter for the most part. Whereas a producer will take that song and we will get the right vocalist for it. If the song is right for, say, this person over here,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get that person, bring them in, we'll cut it on them, or we'll cut it somebody on it, then we'll shop it to another artist. So a beat maker, like I said, all they handle is just the music, and that's fine. That's good. But to produce the record, it takes um, a lot more activity. A lot more things going on.
Right, because it's from the beginning of the process.
Yeah,
From what I see, from
yeah,
the
to
beginning all the way to
yeah,
the end.
all the way to the end, and that's your you know your trademark. That's your it's their record, but you know um, it has a little bit of you in there too. And that little bit of you is what makes you a producer, it's, you can be, maybe the way, the vocals are layered, and how they're, or how the lead is done. It's just something that a trademark to you as a producer. Certain keys or certain drums or something like that. All of that is, you know, great.
Can you read music?
Yeah, I can read some. Um, I need to get better at it. And that's one
Uh-huh.
thing that I'm not as good as I should be in. Um, you know, but I can read a little bit. I'm
Okay.
not fast. Like I'll sit there and I'll look at it and I got to go, okay, okay, I see it. I'll read the line and then I'll play it. So I can't just read a note for note, note. So
Because I
some
remember
people
I
are
was at an
amazing with
event
that.
one time and the guy was like, Slim, I can make a beat, but I can't read the music.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And there's a lot of people that can't, they
yeah,
just do what they feel. But if you're in a situation where you got a paying gig coming up and they send you some sheet music and be like, okay, look, play this, and you can't read it, you lose out on the money, you lose out on the gig, so
everything.
yeah, so it's best to learn as much as you can, practice every week, you know, and try to get better at it every week.
I
Especially when you're
think
working with
that's
artists.
important.
Oh yeah, when you're working with artists and you have to tell them, they say, hey, I want this song in A or C or E or F or whatever, and you have to know, the scale of what they're talking about and put it in there, you know, in the range form. And that's all important stuff to know.
I want to like take just a second here, just to thank everybody for their time
Yes,
coming on here. Like this is so I always think it's amazing. I know my friends be like, all right, come on, let's get to the conversation. And I'd be like, oh no, really, I had to take a moment and just
yes, yeah,
really thank, because time is the most expensive thing somebody can give to you, because we
yes.
can't get that back. Like this is an hour that we're spending right now that definitely is so valuable,
It
not
is.
only to
It
me,
is.
but I'm sure to others as well. I want to give my gratitude to that time. Like we have to really be thoughtful of how we're spending time. Like when we say we're spending time, that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah,
Except the only thing, the difference between the time and the money thing is that money, you can always get that back, with the time that you can't. So I
yeah,
always just have to take a moment and be like, wow, this is so nice that,
yeah. It's beautiful.
I don't do lives often.
I don't
I
do
felt
lives ever.
very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
really did. Like, you're like, you've been on I've done a couple commercials. I've been on TV, a few of those TV shows in front of millions of people. And I still, even now, right now, before I got on here, I'm like, I get so nervous, right? But then
I
once I'm on, I'm
understand.
good. I'm always good. Once lights, camera, action, I'm perfect. But before, I'm like, oh my goodness, because the
Yeah,
live is always so weird to me. I'm old school. I like to talk on the phone,
yeah.
or I want to
Me too.
see the person face to face. This is a cool thing. I'm good with conversation, so this
Yeah.
works for me. But for me to go on live solo all the time, no, it doesn't, because I can't see the people. It feels weird.
But you're doing an awesome job. You are. You're
Thank
doing a great
you.
job. You're awesome. Don't
I
even sweat that.
appreciate that. I
Yeah, don't
don't get
sweat
on
that.
and be like, hello, one, hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? Let me see what we're going to talk about today. Yes.
Yeah,
But
you're doing awesome.
when I can see my friends in front of me, like, you're here, we
Yeah,
can talk. I can ask you questions. I can engage. You can engage.
that's
But
it.
when I'm live by myself, I'm still working on that,
Yeah,
But
hey,
I do
it's a
understand the
process though.
importance of this,
Yeah, it's very important.
it
And you,
is, right?
yeah, you talk about time. Think about January. Everybody was making plans. I was waiting on the baseball season to start. I love baseball, and it's like all of a sudden, say somebody that was here in January had no idea, and then this COVID comes in, and then they're gone. Just time. Time is precious. It's so precious.
It is so precious.
Hmm.
I worked. I do also share this story that before I got into entertainment, I worked as an EMT and a medical assistant and a bunch of other various positions in healthcare. But one that stick out the most, I worked in emergency medicine for quite some time.
Mm.
And so I spent a great deal of time, unfortunately, taking patients to the morgue and also
Oh,
hearing the doctor, a lot of CPR and all of those things that I've done um, in the course of my career when I was doing it. And one of the things that always stick out is when they say the time of death. When I hear the doctor say that,
that's
um,
it.
that's it. It's so final. And that always brings me back to my why and brings me back to my perspective. And I say, I'm not going to no longer fear this thing called success because it's all a perception anyway. Because
Right,
I can look at success as one thing, and you can look at it as a totally different thing. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. We both
right.
have, that's how we perceive whatever it is. For me, it's simply doing this live.
Yeah,
And when 7 o'clock reached, I feel like that's
you done.
success for me because I was able to complete a goal.
Yeah,
Anytime I complete a goal. And once I relocated, when I left Cleveland, I was successful because I said, okay, I made it out. Now, what are you going to do with this? You know
yeah.
what I mean? Now, what are
That's
you
it.
going to do with your time? How are you going to create a better future? Everything got canceled this year, and it depends on how a person perceives even that. And
Right.
I perceive this as something great. I perceive this as a blessing. I perceive this as just a time where I can just be grateful for not only being alive but being well.
Yeah,
I can breathe. If I can breathe, that's well to me. That's good.
yeah.
I am so grateful for spending more time with my family. I'm able to see, me and my daughter, we do the chat thing now.
That's all.
She's a grown woman. So that's not at home. My oldest daughter, she's grown. So we talk more, the conversations. I see more families outside
Right.
together.
Yeah.
So we can start looking at that and start bringing love back
Oh,
into the picture of how important that is because so much love is lost in this generation. It
oh,
feels as if
yeah.
we have now desensitized murder
Yeah.
when that is so final
You
and that is so
desensitize
serious.
almost everything. I mean, it's sad. It really is. You know.
I
And
see
yeah,
those videos on Facebook. I'm like,
yeah,
I didn't know we were gonna watch the guy fall with the gun. Like he really shot him, and we're
yeah.
really watching this on. I've seen 2 people commit suicide on Facebook Live.
It's crazy.
These things are so real, and these conversations that we're having is absolutely necessary. I had
Yes.
started going to the high schools and the middle schools and talking to our students, our young people.
Right.
I don't want to come to young people and preach to them. That
Right.
no need to get to that because you can't get through that
No,
way.
you can't. You can't.
You
Don't
know
even
what I
try.
mean?
Don't even
And I'm
try.
not trying to change them either.
Right.
I'm coming to plant a seed. I'm coming to say that I am you. You understand?
And
Like
that's it.
I am you. And I don't care what it looks like at home. I don't care what you don't have and what you do have, because we always tend to want what we feel like we didn't get anyway. I do share my story about, growing up with my grandmother and not growing up with my mother and my father. But she was the thing that I needed. She was what I needed to get to where I am today. Without her, I just don't believe that we would have this conversation at all. Your music will reflect that love and focus that we need during this time, that vibration. Usually, I was talking about how, like, sometimes I can get hood and I need to listen to the trap music and I want to bang it in my ears, right?
Hmm.
But since this is such a time as we're in right now, not so much.
Right.
I've been more into smooth jazz,
Yeah.
you know.
And music, people don't know that, or people don't realize that music affects your mood. What you're listening to affects, you know,
It affects how we
how you
feel,
gonna,
how we
yeah, yeah,
think.
exactly. Exactly. And that's why I try to write my music, compose my music, I'll try to make it as calm as possible, so people can just meditate. They can go to sleep if they want to. They can read a book, and the music will just kind of take them on a trip. a nice trip. And when it's done, they'll be refreshed, they'll be renewed, and that's what I try to get across, with my music, is just to get across that calmness to people, you know.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
is important. I mean, I really believe that what we put into our subconscious mind, those things that we listen to, those things that we read, the people that we surround ourselves by
Right.
affects us more than we can even know. And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that, but it does. And that's why
True.
I'm like, the music is so important. Music, at one point, I was listening to Heather B on Sway this morning, and she was saying how, in our community, in our Black community, therapy, no, I didn't hear of therapy. I didn't go to therapy. There probably, probably should have, with some of the things that I had to go through and overcome,
Mm.
and having someone to speak to. But because we didn't do that, music was our therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
I
That's true.
remember listening to BB King, and I still listen to him to this day because my grandmother was a blues lover.
BB
And I'm
King.
like, oh, but then
Yeah.
sometimes that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Listening to some of the blues, I'm like, but I got it right now. Oh, he's
I
so
tell you,
right.
I tell you, one of the best people I love to listen to is Billie Holiday. I will put her in and listen to her. Oh, I listen to her all the time, and it's
Oh,
just the range her range of her music. What she talks. It's just
yeah.
really good music. And a lot of people they don't listen to Billie Holiday, but I think they should, especially if they want to compose and write and different things like that, because that was an important part of music history. you know,
History,
yeah,
yes.
and people like that should never be, forgotten, or the music should always be listened to, with fresh ears. A young person going in and checking out Billie Holiday or old Quincy Jones stuff that he did, stuff like that. The music that you can't really place in the genre. It's just good music. That's all it is.
I
You know,
love, love, love music. I listen to
yeah,
Frank Sinatra. I
that
remember,
voice,
yes, I love him.
just
Like
yeah.
he had one of my favorite songs is the one where he talks about the seasons, and I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God, life is really like that. Take a sip of water right now. Oh, because life is really like that. It
yeah.
really happens in seasons. And what season are we in right now for you?
For me, I say spring. That's for me. Because
I like
stuff
it.
is just really just opening up, right now, and I'm very happy about it. So I say springtime for me.
You say spring?
No, I say spring.
I, one of my favorite seasons for me used to be winter.
Really?
It used to be, yeah.
Ah,
And
you know,
because I love, probably because that was my grandmother's favorite time of the season, the year rather.
mm,
She loved going outside and chopping the wood in the snow and
yeah,
bundling up and starting the fire. We
yeah.
had the iron stoves. I grew up with the
Oh,
iron stoves. My
hmm.
grandmother was stuck in time. Like, you
Mine
could
was
cook
too.
on top of these stoves. I wish I had it now, actually, because that's real antique.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right?
You
So
know
I
what?
wish I had that right now. So we're in the springtime. We're getting ready for this album.
Yeah.
What does this look like?
Oh, it's
What
like
does
I
this
said. It's just
process look like?
oh, to me, it just looks like opportunity. It's a new statement for me with this album. Beyond the Sunrise, it's just different. And I'm kind of making a brand new statement. I did. This is who I am. This is who and
I'm excited for you.
thank you. And I just want the audience to just listen and feel what they feel. My hope is that it touches and heals people wherever it needs to be heard. And I pray that it just goes out there and just helps people. And that's my main thing.
Because music is healing. Yeah,
Yeah,
back to the
yeah,
music is therapy. So that music was always being played. I played a lot of albums and records, literally letting it spin on the player and on the microphone, acting like I was Aretha Franklin. You can't tell me absolutely nothing. I was heard. She be me. And then here we are. 20 years later, since that time when I was living with my grandmother and that little girl, and now in entertainment, I didn't see it then. When
Oh,
did you realize? Like, let's talk about a little
oh,
bit about that beginning
yeah.
when you first started.
Wow. Well, I've always loved music. I think I fell in love with music when I heard Smokey Robinson. I may have been maybe 8, somewhere around there. And I heard, oh, I can't think of the song now, but I heard his voice. I'm like, hey, so my mom had a bunch of old records, and I used to play those records. She had the Temptations and the Isley Brothers, a whole bunch of stuff. So I used to listen to a bunch of stuff. And I used to sing too. I used to try to be in the garage. I go into the garage and sing. Every time they take the car out, I run in there and I sing. And what's so funny is I was living in Florida at that time. I am again now, but then I was living in Winter Haven, and I was watching TV one day, and I saw Men at Large on television. I was probably maybe 13 around that time. And I said,
Hmm.
"Wow, those guys can really sing." I had no idea that
Oh,
6 years,
yeah.
maybe 6, 7 years
Amazing.
later, I would be sitting in the studio with them, working with
Isn't
them.
that
I
crazy
was
how that
living, yeah,
works?
it was crazy. I saw them on television, and then years later,
Law
here
of
we are.
attraction.
Yeah, here we are, and it's like, wow, and then I tell people all the time, that this business, it takes time to grow. You can't come in and think you're gonna drop a hit record and off you go. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of competition.
A lot.
And you have to grow. You have to grow as an artist, as a writer, as a producer, whatever you're trying to do.
Hmm.
You have to grow. And when your season does come, and it will come. You'll be ready. You will be ready for it.
Yep.
But until then, that opportunity, an opportunity may come, and something may be off or wrong or this or that. You're like, but when that one opportunity comes, that, that it'll just flow like
You'll
water.
be ready.
Yeah, it
Exactly.
means you're ready. Yeah,
Exactly. I think that, and that's the thing about this, right? That's what I want people to know is that to spend time creating, don't we spend way too much time thinking about the results, you
right.
know? And that's
Yeah,
the thing about working in PR is that it's literally, I feel like this is my opinion about PR is that it's something that can't be measured. So that's why people say, oh, well, you only work with this person or that person. And it's not even that. How I decide who I work with is usually by relationships.
right.
I've never really advertised myself as a publicist, believe it or not. It's just kind of built on relationships. You work with a person, you start to tend to, a lot of the people that I worked with in the past, I feel like we're really brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
Like I really, like I can
you
call
build
them
that
and
bond
count
over
on them
time.
for certain things. We have built that,
Yeah,
right? And so the law of attraction is real, and if you believe in whatever it is that you believe in, it doesn't matter what happens in the middle, right? If we look
yeah.
at life as a big old circle basically,
Hmm.
and it evolves and it goes around, and the things that happens in between is those things that we may look at as obstacles and all of that. But in the end, you'll get back to that middle of that circle, and you'll get to where what's meant for you. See, we got
Right.
a lot of people in here from New York City.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Oh,
awesome.
hey. Yeah, you'll get there. I
Yeah.
don't too much worry about. Sometimes I do. There are times, honestly, where I'll get frustrated, and I felt like I wanted to just say, "Forget it. I don't want to do this. What am I doing? This is crazy." And
Hmm.
then, nope. I quickly just erase that out of my mind real quick, and I just keep on creating and don't even think about what is what that looks like. Whatever it's supposed to be, it's gonna just happen
It's
and
gonna
flow.
happen. You know,
Enjoy the process.
yes, that's the same thing with writing. It's the same thing. I go through that phase where it's like, okay, I'm writing something, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I was thinking. Or I'll be working on something late at night, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And I wake up the next day, and I'm like, what's I thinking? Like, why does it sound like that? But that's just the mood that I was in when I was writing it. So it's not good or bad. It's just whatever I was, whatever I was feeling at that time.
We
And
were
you
born
can't
to
judge.
create.
Yeah. You
Do you
just
believe
create.
that?
That's it. Yeah. You just create. That's it. You are.
We are born to create, and if we can just tap into that and think about others, is if we can take a lot of the load off of us if we stop thinking about us and what it looks like for us and start thinking about the people.
Right.
Right?
Yes, that's the important thing, because you can't really, you have to put yourself in the back to really inspire others. Like, you can't really, you can, like I say, you can inspire others by just backing up and letting other people shine, and just
Mm-hmm.
inspire them. You got to let your work speak for you, you know, and let your actions speak for you, and let that inspire people.
I heard a wise man say recently, replace content with the message.
I like that. That's true, and that is true. And it's,
Replace content with the message.
yeah, and you know what? On my social media, I try every day to give a message of like hope or something. I'm just going to inspire somebody. I share like a bunch of different pictures that kind of inspire people to just do better, be better, or they just kind of relax you. Whatever it helps you with. I try to. That's what I try to build my brand on, just helping people get over whatever they're trying to get over. And if my messaging or my music can help you do that, then I'm thankful. I'm thankful I'm able to do that.
Is so important. What time are we? We're like 5 more minutes. Okay, this is cool.
Yeah,
Isn't it? I find it just amazing. An hour seems like whoa,
I know it
because
flies by.
I've had business meetings where we can have a meeting in like 10 minutes. We've said
It is
everything we
done.
need to say, and we're off it. But
Yep,
like
it's
an
done.
hour of great conversation really
Yes.
goes by. So I find it so amazing. I look and I'm like, wow, this is almost up.
Yeah, and I
I was inspired by there's a guy who does this podcast, Joe Rogan. I think he's also a comedian as well. I love his podcast is just conversation.
yeah.
Sometimes interviews tend to be very boring. I watch a lot of them, for inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
to help with. I do a lot of writing. I write every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
I write every day. And I get inspired through conversations. And that's what inspired me to create this. I was like, I'm going to try to do this not try, but I'm going to do this, God willing, alive and well. I'm going to do this until December 29th just to see where it goes. And so I reached out to a few friends, and you were one of them,
Yeah. Then I
obviously. And you
thank
were like,
you.
yeah, sure. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, man, this is cool. I had a super producer, West Coast, day one on
Yes. Yes.
2 days ago.
Yes. Yes.
He's also a client and a very good friend of mine. And then the week before that, I had Eric Wilson from
Yes.
Cleveland,
Yes.
Scratch Paper Productions. And then next week, I'm going to have Professor, I'll keep saying her Instagram name until she introduces herself. But her name is Professor_KG. And she's also, she studies the moon, the stars.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's into and to associate that with music, because she's also a music producer. I can't wait to talk to her.
Oh, that's gonna be beautiful.
Because she's a Nassau,
That's awesome.
ambassador. So this is going somewhere. Just the conversations, right?
And
Just an idea. The idea
it just feels
is
good
the
just to
seed.
have a conversation. Yeah, it is great. I thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for everybody. That's watching. I appreciate you. Just thank you.
I
I'm just
appreciate
thankful.
this so
I'm happy.
much. What else do you want to add? We got a couple minutes left. So what else do you want to
Just
let
to
people know how they can find you? Those kind of things.
you
Got that.
okay? Well, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm usually on Facebook more so at Carl Borden Music. Or you that's my whole thing. Everything is just Carl Borden Music. So you can find me on Facebook or any place
And
like that.
you said,
Or you can
it'd be
visit my
easier.
website too, carlborden.com. Yep.
Carl Borden, thank you
Yep.
so much.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you for having me on. I'm very thankful.
This
And I
is
just
this
want
is
to
so good.
I just want to encourage people just to think beyond themselves. Just you feel like quitting at times. Don't quit. Just keep pushing. And I'm telling you, from experience. That opportunity is right there. But you
It's
got to keep
right
pushing. You
there.
stop, you're never going to realize it. But if you keep pushing, keep writing music, keep writing those plays, keep whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. And when that happens, you're going to look back and say, I'm glad I didn't quit.
Man,
And I
I'm
want to say,
so
also
happy
say,
that I didn't
I
say
want to
no.
thank, I mean, I want to thank Mindstream as well. Mindstream is my label, and they are absolutely fabulous. I love being a part of that
Yes, tell
label.
them thank
And
you too. I want to
yeah,
say thank you
yeah,
to them for sharing this. Thank you.
yes, they are. They are amazing. They are amazing. Yep,
Oh, that is so good. So you got a good family.
I do. I have a wonderful family. I'm happy to be a part of that family. Yeah, very
That
happy.
is so great. Oh my goodness. Continue to stay safe. Kiss your
You
baby
too.
and hug her a little tighter.
I
You
definitely
know,
will.
because
I definitely
my
will.
friend Focus, as I was saying, I want to send out prayers and love, light, and energy to him because he just recently lost his son in a car accident, and that's how that's how fragile life is, and that's why I want to continue to have these conversations because I know that there are a lot of people in pain. There's
Yes.
always, sometimes I smile even though I hurt as well. I have
Yep.
my moments and my times. So I think that I hope that through this conversation that we've had today and you sharing your story and, even sharing, oh my goodness, you have a 4-year-old and a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
Send love, light, and energy to you guys. And I really appreciate you giving me your
Thank you.
time today, Carl. Thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
inviting me.
much, everybody that's on here. It's like sometimes now, I don't know, recently since I started this, it's so many chime in and all of these. It's impossible to like give a shout out to everybody. But I know I did see another record label that was on here earlier. It passed by. I don't know. They're on there, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you. Just
Yeah.
be encouraged. Peace.
Yes. Yes. Peace.